In Colorado, many divorces that come through the court system are between parties that have accumulated, either before the marriage or during the marriage, substantial assets. These are sometimes known as high net worth divorces or high net worth dissolutions. People often wonder, how is that different, and how do the courts treat it differently? And the answer is the courts treat it the same. The court has the same requirement in a high net worth case as in a moderate net worth case, and that is to do justice, to come to a result that is fair and equitable. How the lawyers handle it, on the other hand, needs to be quite different, because it is the lawyer's responsibility in representing you to make sure that we work with you as the client to, one, create disclosures of information to the other side that are complete and straightforward, so that nobody can argue later on down the road that there was any deficiency there and undo what is either agreed or decided by the court. And two, that we can put together a presentation to the court so that the court can understand what an equitable result looks like. And this may involve, first of all, lawyers that understand finance, that understand your particular circumstance, and that can do the investigation and understand the information that's derived from that investigation. And then, of course, lawyers that know when to bring in other experts, forensic accountants, business valuation experts, house valuation experts, and other professionals that can help to understand the complete financial circumstance and tax consequences for both parties. So high net worth cases involve an investigation and an attention to detail that is even more important than in moderate net worth cases. And working with lawyers who have experience and knowledge around that kind of information is essential to getting a good outcome. One of the outside professionals that we can involve in a divorce case sometimes is a forensic accountant. A forensic accountant can often be used where the other party's finances, or quite honestly yours, need to be evaluated. So where just looking at the bank statements, just looking at the profit and loss statements, just looking at the books of businesses, of the personal finances of one party or the other, can be a huge task. What a forensic accountant does is to kind of deconstruct everything that's happened and tell the story of the truth about what has gone on, led there through the finances. So by reviewing all the financial materials, all the, not just financial books, but the actual transactions between different parts of the business, between parties, the money that came in, the money that went out, and see that it all tells a consistent story, or find where that story doesn't make sense and investigate as to why. So that forensic accountant then takes all that information, comes up with the story that appears to be closest to the truth, and then helps the lawyer, us, helps our client, you, and eventually helps the court understand what happened with the other side, and also what happened with us, so that the court can understand the truth and come to an equitable decision using the best information that can be made available. What we also find, though, is that very often when there is a forensic accountant on our side, that coming to a story of the truth that is backed up by the expert's investigation often helps to bring the parties together. So that now that they feel comfortable, that they understand what really happened, they might not be happy about it, they might be downright upset about it, but when they understand it, it is easier to then come together to a result that they can make by agreement, and they can craft their future based on knowledge and based on truth, and avoid the expense and the lengthy time it would take to actually resolve this through the courts. One of the challenges that we have when we're working with parties in a high net asset divorce is attention to all the real property. Real property being property that is associated with land, real estate, as opposed to personal property, things that are not associated with land. Can be more complex and certainly more numerous than in more moderate asset cases. There is often the primary marital residence. There can be one or more part-time residences or vacation homes. There can be rental properties, business properties, and other real properties that all must be taken into consideration when coming up with an equitable result between the parties. Each of these things needs to be valued, and very often that value is not easily arrived at. They can be owned in more complex structures. In a high net worth divorce, high net asset divorce, having a law firm that can help to kind of get all the assets together and understand the value of the assets, both from a numbers perspective, but also the value to you, the value to the future that you're trying to build, and the value to the other side, and help the parties come together for an equitable result involving all the real property, or in the alternative, helping to present a picture to the court that the court can understand, so the court can allocate these properties in such a way that is not just fair and equitable, but in promotion of the outcomes that you're looking for at the end of your divorce.